In this video, we're going to take a look at the Sailor ProGrea Slim. Let's begin at the end with my thoughts on this pen. This is a great example of getting a pen specifically for the nib. Sailor's nibs are absolutely fantastic to write with. And because this pen, in Sailor terms, is incredibly inexpensive, I was willing to get it to get my hands on another one of their fine nibs because they write so well. And working at a school where we frequently have less than optimal paper for fountain pens, I do find that this pen tends to perform fairly well on it with most inks. A reason that I was very willing to spend the money to get another Sailor fine nib. I enjoy using it. I do wish it was slightly longer. I can deal with its more narrow grip in my hand perfectly fine, as I don't have any issues with this pen the way it is. Again, had it been a little longer, that's fine. Posted, it winds up being very comfortable in my hand. So here again, sometimes just a brand is so good that sometimes you can't resist a good deal, and that's all that happened here. This was a very good deal that I got a hold of when I picked it up secondhand. Now that we know how I feel about the Sailor ProGrea Slim, let's see how I got to that opinion, starting with the unboxing. The Sailor ProGrea Slim came in a box like this, which contained a box like this. Sailor always gives a very nice professional presentation in their boxes, and this was no exception, and I'm happy that it was held on to by the original owner, because I do like their boxes. That's right, I'm probably the only person out there that says I do like the boxes. With the pen out of the box, we need to get to the nib. Now, to be honest, as long as it doesn't take 20 turns to uncap a pen, I'm fine. But how many turns does this pen take to get uncapped? The Sailor ProGrea Slim takes 1 3/4 turns to uncap. It is coming up on that 2-turn threshold that I really don't like in fountain pens. But at 1 3/4, I'll survive, especially considering that it then reveals the Sailor nib. This gets us to the nib. This pen has a gold fine nib on it. Sailor nibs are, without a doubt, beautiful to look at, and while this is one of their smaller nibs, which made me interested in trying it out, it still has that beautiful Sailor scroll work all along its edges. It looks so good. If you enjoy videos like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. Now, let's ink this pen up. The Sailor ProGrea Slim is a proprietary cartridge or converter system and holds approximately 0.8 milliliters of ink. The ink for today is Califolio Gris du Pain. Here's where I talk about the Sailor converter and how they've been completely reliable to me with no issues at all. I've never had to replace it, and this pen amongst the Sailor pens has probably been, I'm going to call it abused, as in used with the most inks. This is very frequently inked up and left at school in my closet so that I always have a really good pen there. As a habit, I don't normally post my pens, but some pens need to be posted, and some people prefer to post their pens. This pen is postable, which is a good thing because holding it in the hand, it's long enough, it's in the web of my hand, but it's just at that point that it's just down. And I want it just a hair longer. So that's when posting is nice. One of the few pens I frequently post when using. The thinner size makes me want to post it, and it's just short enough that you would kind of want to post it. Now, the important part, the writing sample. I mentioned that I like writing with this pen. It provides a lot of feedback, but not too much feedback. Really, a great spot for me because I don't want super smooth nibs. I find the buttery smooth nibs to be problematic for me. Here, looking at the fine nib, to understand how much I enjoy Sailor nibs, I didn't like fine nibs until I used a Sailor fine nib. That's what changed my opinion entirely about them. This pen sits nicely in my hand while posted to write. It doesn't cause any kind of hand fatigue because while it's very small, it's not heavy, but it's heavy enough to feel it in your hand and not feel that need to kind of have a death grip on it, where a pen that's much too light can make me hold on much tighter. I find that as I write, I really enjoy hearing the sound of the feedback on the page, which I always keep in the background for the videos because I kind of like the sound. Really, that's it. These are the pens, the Sapporo line, that for me were incredibly affordable. Though I only have the one, I could see being willing to search out the others. They're very nice. I wish they made some of their 1911 larges as the same finish design that these put out, because the larger pen in my hand would be a little bit more enjoyable in the writing, in that I don't generally like posting my pen. So to not have to comfortably use the pen would be the one thing I would want to improve on this pen. Now for something a bit more standard in comparing writing size. I use Namiki Blue to do this, and here's how it compares to a Yovo Extra Fine on the left, a medium in the middle, and a 1.1 stub on the right. Japanese pens are known for being a bit more narrow than Western pens in their writing, and this Japanese fine certainly is much more narrow than a Western fine. It's probably more that Western extra fine. Even with that, it never feels scratchy and is always reliable on the paper. But how does it compare in writing size to other nibs I've used? Looking at the writing of a Sailor ProGrea Slim with a fine nib, here it is next to the Sailor 1911 ringless with a fine nib, the Pilot Metropolitan with a fine nib, and a Pilot Custom 823 also with a fine nib. It isn't a pen review without doing some size comparisons. Here it is capped. Here it is uncapped. And here it is posted. I mentioned that this is a smaller pen, and it is, and I want to say almost smaller to the point that you could consider it amongst pocket pens with how small it is, because it's small, and I do consider it with my pocket pens when school's out. When school's in, it tends to stay at the school, but it certainly could be. At this point, the pen is dirty. Let's make it clean again. Be sure to check out the next pen review where we take a look at the Mnemosyne Fission.
Did you not have time to get in on our circle dots for marking your vials and pointing out blemishes? Have I got good news for you? Chroma labels. That's right, the same great technology that was able to be used before can be used again. Now, because the last ones went so fast and these are in limited supply, you can get one at $19.95 or two at $87.40. That's right, two for $87.40. That's a deal. Act now.
If you want to be able to support not just my channel, but any reviewer, then when you make a purchase, be sure to tell that retailer where you heard about it. Thanks for watching.